Gordon McClure, born April 10, 1941 in Vancouver, Washington. Graduated from Colton Union High School, served in the Marine Corps, worked as a sales manager for Caltrol for 32 years, longer than I am, and married to the love of his life, Linda McClure. Gordon is survived by his son, Darren, and his wife, Lisa, and his two grandchildren, Ella and Kate. And neither one of them are married?
Not yet.
Day's not over. Two brothers, Tom and Roger. Where's Tom?
Hey, you forgot about Zandy, too.
And daughter Sandy. Zandy. That's you. Yeah. Okay. We're here today to talk about a very special man. I've known Gordon for a while, and we all have known him for a while, but I think Gordon was a very special human being. I can't ever remember Gordon ever saying anything bad about anybody. Was he like that all his life, Roger? Or you, he did? Brothers, that's different. Yeah, I knew Gordon for many years, and yet, if you're like I never heard him ever say anything bad about anyone. Didn't he ever say anything bad about me, Linda? Right away, we know something wrong with him. I think Gordon was a man of true love because he treated everyone like he wanted to be treated. I never saw him angry. I never saw him say or heard him say a bad word about a person. He was always extremely positive about everything. And every time that I was down and upset, he had a way of picking me up. And if you guys think like I do, I think that everybody that we come in contact with every day, we pick them up or we push them down. I think Gordon picked everybody else up. I think he was a special nice guy. He only had nice things to say about people. Never had a bad word. And another thing that I thought he was very special, he never judged anybody. He just accepted it for who he was. That's kind of how I want to be when I grow up. Just accepting. I got a ways to go. And to make it fast, because we have so many people that's going to talk, I told him this just before he passed, that his final thing was teaching us how to pass away. He was always so positive and so upbeat. You would never know by his voice and the topics that he was sick. He never surrendered to it and never complained about it. He taught me how to pass on. And I cannot never forget that he was such a nice man. And he touched so many people that you can tell just by seeing this large crowd here. He's a special human being. And I'd like to thank the powers to be for having him in my life, because my life is much better because of Gordon. Thank you very much. Is there somebody else who would like to say something? Oh, wait a minute. Dennis Johnson. Where's Dennis?
Hello, I'm Dennis Johnson, as Jim said, and I wanted to express a few thoughts about my friend Gordon McClure. Along with others here, especially over this table, we were all high school classmates, Colton Union High School, class of 1959, which maybe gives our age away a little bit, but that's the way it is.
Put your mouth closer.
Now, okay.
I hear you now.
Let me start over. Okay, anyway, I'm Dennis Johnson, and I'm here to express a few thoughts about my friend Gordon McClure. Along with others here, we were all high school classmates at Colton Union High School, class of 1959. That makes us 48 years old. Anyway, Gordon was a very bright student, as I recall. And but more than being a bright student, he was kind of mainly known for his athletic prowess, being part of the Colton High School varsity football and wrestling teams. And back in those days, 57, 89, Colton was kind of the powerhouse, and especially in football, going to CIF playoffs, etc. Gordon was a big part of that, along with Harry Oliver over there. Me, on the other hand, I played varsity basketball and tennis. Tennis was not a very valued sport at that time, like it is today. But anyway, that's the way it was. So, at that time, Gordon and I were not really best friends or anything, but we were still friends and knew one another. But as it happened, some 30 plus years later at one of our high school reunions, I think maybe in San Bernardino, we got together and found out that, lo and behold, we lived in the same great city of Palm Desert right here, and about 5 miles apart. And as of then, Gordon and I, his wife Linda, my wife Bridget, became great friends, and that's lasted all along. We all know that Gordon was a computer genius, and in my family, the tech person is my wife. So she was calling Gordon for computer help so often that he finally said, hey, if you don't get an Apple, I'm not going to help you anymore. So lo and behold, about 2 weeks later, we became Apple people. And those of you that have been to Gordon and Linda's house here, everything's Apple there. There are wristwatches, there are TVs, there are computers. I think their toilet seat was an Apple, I'm not sure. Anyway, where am I here? I'm getting lost. Anyway, I'm going to miss my friend, the many visits, dinners, travels, get-together with friends and classmates, and especially our own personal conversations. And I will end this by saying how much I admired Gordon's honesty and character, like Jim here said, and also the phenomenal courage he had as he fought this terrible disease for some 22 months. Gordon told me many times how thankful he was for his wife Linda and his family. So anyway, I want to say to Gordon, rest in peace, my friend. Thank you.
Before I call the next person, I have this little story. Ron Castleberry told me he's not man enough to come up here. He was a neighbor of Gordon, and they lived next door, and Ron was having problems with his garage door. So anyone in the neighborhood knows you go to Gordon when there's a problem with your house. And so they went over there, and Gordon was up on the ladder fixing it, and all of a sudden it kicked into gear, and it took him by the two thumbs. How do I do this with the two thumbs, and caught him and pulled him over so he was hanging by his two friends. And Ron was running around screaming, not knowing what to do, just going back and forth screaming, and Gordon very quietly said, "Turn off the door, Ron." That was Gordon. You just couldn't get him rattled. Did someone else raise their hand? Young man? Everyone's young to me.
You use that word loosely.
I'm a very loose guy.
Yeah, I'm Jim Cavan, known Gordy for many years, and I think anyone here that has a computer knew Gordy very well. And we will miss him very badly, but I want to talk, can you hear me okay? Okay, all right. Gordon, what I want to tell you about, he and Linda were in a hiking group with us, and we took some really nice hikes. One of them that I really recall and I'll never do it again. It's called the Grottos. I think it's called the Grottos. If any of you are hikers, it's way out to Mecca Hills somewhere. At any rate, they told us that we had to crawl through little holes to get through to the next spot, and we wound up in a cave that we had to have lights. I had a flashlight, which was worthless, but Leo Finnegan had a miner's lamp on the front of his head, which worked well. And when we got into this big opening, it was a big cave. I can't describe it. It was dark as pitch, and with Leo's lamp, he would go ahead. And I think you had a pretty good light too, Linda. But at any rate, we finally got through this. Then we broke out into it was a big opening. It was still covered, but there was some way we went into like a granite wall. It was about 10 feet tall, something like that. Well, Linda, being very lithe and agile, she was able to get up that wall. And so Gordy grabbed Leo and pushed him up where he could get a good hold on it, and he grabbed me and pushed me up. We all got up, and Gordy's left down there by himself. Well, he had a heck of a time, and he was really had exerted himself. I was up on this ledge waiting for him. I could hear him breathing very loudly. I said, Gordy, forget it, we'll go back. It's not worth it. You're going to get hurt. No, I'm going to make it. Well, Linda, she came back. She's been up ahead scouting the way out for us, I think. That's where Sacagawea comes in. At any rate, she went back and went down to the floor and showed Gordy where he could put his hands and feet, and somehow he got up there. Once he got up with his legs, he just came up the other side of me and sat down and passed out. And if I hadn't been sitting on that side of him, if he stopped short of me, he may have fallen back down off that piece of granite or whatever it was. At any rate, it was quite a trip, and everyone was scratched up except me. I wore long sleeves, long trousers, leather gloves, all protective gear I could think of. I didn't wear a helmet. But when we finished this, we did, Linda, of course, is a great videographer, and she has, on her website, I tried to find it the other day, we were up in Sacramento, I wanted to show this to somebody, and I couldn't. It's about 4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah, just do a Google search.
Okay, well, I want to get that, I want to show it. At any rate, it's a great, and I was so relieved when we finally got out of there in one piece. And she interviewed all of us at the end, and everybody had scratches and bleeding, and, except for me, because I was covered up and protected. And I said, let's get out of here and stop and have a beer or something. I'll never forget. We were all very tired and hot, and that was such a relief. And I had a coin, a Sacagawea, is it $1, I think? I have it right now, but I won't get it out now. But I went home and immediately sat down and wrote a little letter about this trip, and she included it. And she even took the Sacagawea and put a picture of it on a little pedestal. It looks just like a, it's a beautiful thing. At any rate, this is Gordy, as you alluded. I never heard Gordon say a bad word either. He was just a wonderful person, and I know he did talk about the football that he played. You guys, you have reunions and all that. Wonderful person, and I know everybody here will miss Gordon very much.
Can you hear me back there? Good afternoon. My name is Carlos Powers, and we have a lot of people here who knew Gordon, like I did. but I didn't realize that our lives were intertwined as much as they were. I first met Gordon and Linda when we were living on Woodhaven Drive South at 622. And we'd been there, we bought there in 94, we were both working, and I retired in 98, and we moved in 99, and we found out that we had a wasted space up there, which was, it had that little balcony up there. And the only thing I ever did up there was clean. So I said, the heck with this. So we got a contractor, and we had a bump out put in, which worked out pretty well. We had our computer up there, a little couch for Jane Reed to read. And we could see the people teeing off from 7 and the people coming over the lake at 6. So it was pretty nice. Our contractor said, is it okay if I invite some people over to see the bump out? I said, no, sure, fine. So Linda and Gordon came over and we talked, and they went upstairs, and we didn't think any more of it, and I believe you had the bump out done. Is that correct, Linda?
Yep.
By the same contractor? Yeah. Did a great job. So as we joined, when I joined the men's club here at Woodhaven, gosh, we had about 200 members, and I was probably my number was 121 or something like that. So one Saturday I was paired up with Gordon and Harry Hutzel, who, if you didn't know Harry Hutzel, he was quite a character. God rest his soul. And I don't remember who the fourth was. But we were playing golf, and Harry was quite a veteran of the Pacific in the Marine Corps, and was highly decorated. In fact, at the archives over here in the Air Museum, they have a whole history of what he went through World War II, among others. And we started talking about the service and everything else, and Harry asked me, or asked us, Gordon, were you ever in the service? He says, yeah, I was in the Marine Corps in 1962 through, I believe it was 68 for him. And I looked at him and I said, really? And Harry said, Carlos, were you ever in the Marine Corps? And I said, yes, I was. What year? 1962 to 68. And Gordon and I looked at each other, and we just continued playing, and Harry was yak, claimed that I was a captain in the Mexican army over there in Tijuana and all this stuff. And I told him, yes, I was a captain in the Marine Mexican army, because I had to break there, and I was getting all the Marines that were coming over the wall into Mexico, so they didn't have to go to Vietnam. So that shut him up for at least a whole. Gordon and I were talking. I said, when did you go into the service? He said, 1962. I said, what month? He said, probably, I don't remember, April, May, June, somewhere. I said, I went into MCRD, Marine Corps Recruit Depot in May of 62. Oh. So then we started looking around, and I said, what battalion were you in? He said, I was 1st Battalion. I said, so was I. And I said, what platoon were you in? And now that I look over there, it was 169 for him. And I said, my platoon was 127. I said, are you telling me that we went to the same chow hall, worked in the same area, trained in the same area, and we never realized that we knew each other? Yeah, that's very possible in the service at that time, because Vietnam was getting pretty hot. So after we graduated, he went off to Camp Hilton, and I went off to Florida. One day we were talking again, and he says, you know, where did you go to high school? I said, Wilson High School. He says, where the hell is that? And I said, East LA. Oh, okay. I said, where did you go to high school? Colton. I said, where the hell is that? He said, in Colton. I said, okay. So that's the way our little chatter started. And I said, you know what? When I came to Pasadena City College in '61, he said, you were at Pasadena City College in '61? I said, yes. And '62. Yes, the same year. 2 years in a row. We were both together. Never met each other. Well, he was in a fraternity, the Darians, okay, which if you were interested in joining a fraternity, they had to accept you. And my wife, who was not my wife at that time, was a Phoenix. And believe me, when I went to Pasadena City College, I had never seen more beautiful women in all my life. They were actually choosing the Rose Queen from Pasadena City College. And every female that was enrolled there was eligible to run for Rose Queen, which was a big, big deal. My wife won't admit it, but she was a contestant for quite a while there. But anyway, I said, you were in the Darians. And Jane said she was in the Phoenix. Come to find out that they knew each other before I knew my wife. That's how small that world was at that time. But as we continued to just play golf together, found out what a super guy he was, and again, he helped us with our computer. He'd come in, and we always had a game we played. When we'd be partners together on a Saturday or Wednesday, we'd say, how come? So he would come up and say, how come, Carlos? And I had to say, what? He says, how come you weren't invited to join a fraternity? I said, because I was in athletics and I didn't go for that kind of group. So he said, well, I'll tell you the real reason you were, because they found out that you're Mexican and probably half Mongolian. So I said, okay, well, you got me on that one. So I said, how come, Gordon, you were never invited to one of our athletics events or something like that? And he says, why? And I said, because little girls don't wear jock straps. So that was our little game that we played. One day, he partnered again with him, and he wore some cargo shorts. And I'll bet you those cargo shorts had 18 pockets. And I looked at him and I said, Gordon, you're not going to play in those, are you? He says, I am. And I said, what are you carrying all those 18 pockets? He says, stuff. And I said, what kind of stuff? It's none of your business, it's just stuff. I said, okay, you better not have a switchblade in there, because I don't want you pulling a switchblade on me out there when we're playing golf, because he knew I was terrified of knives. Because at one time I had been assaulted by some Mexican female with a knife. No reflection on you. But anyway, I tried to get close to him and started feeling his pockets. What are you doing? I said, what do you have in it? He says, well, I got a couple screwdrivers and I got a couple of pair of pliers and everything else. And I said, why do you carry all that? He says, Carlos, you never know. You just never know. So I'm very proud to wear this shirt. He was a good Marine. He was an outstanding human being. And I will miss him. Just because he was Gordon, and you really had to know him and play golf with him to understand him. And we always kid each other. He would kid me about how slow I was or how short, and I'd kid him about how big his head was. And we always were talking to people about our intertwinings and how far back we go. So it was a real pleasure. Thank you very much.
Dun, 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 dun.
Thank you very much for that tune. It's very appropriate because the other Gordon, as we refer to him, and I just celebrated our 39th anniversary on the 1st. My name is Carolyn Skinner. I'm the grandmother of Jordan Hershenhouse, who you have probably seen if you've lived in Woodhaven for the last maybe 15 years, driving around on our golf cart, stopping most people like Lois, and well, you know who you are. Anyhow, can I do anything for you? Is there anything wrong with your TV? Is there anything wrong with your telephone, with your cell phone? I'll be very happy to fix it. Margie, I think you fixed your printer? Okay. I have this little note that Jordan gave me to read. He was very upset, of course, when he heard that Gordon had passed. Gordon McClure was one of the greatest guys I've ever had the pleasure of knowing. He taught me my love for fixing computers. Every time I talked to Grandma, I always said, "How's Gordon?" I will never forget the time that Gordon and John Mulder and I were all just hanging out together. And I will never forget his technology teachings. Rest in peace, Gordon.
There we go.
I brought notes.
That's okay.
Can you hear me? Okay. My name is Sharon Kellogg, so bear with me, I'm a little nervous. Okay, made notes. Linda and Gordon are a special couple, both so talented and have shared their expertise with many of us, as we all know, at Woodhaven and for Woodhaven. I would like at this time to share a couple of memories with you today. The first one, and I think it was San Clemente, Linda, where Gordon's family is down there? Okay. I do what is called as necessary driving, so I don't get out and about much. Gordon has family there, so on one of his visits, he drove me and my dog there for a vacation at a bed and breakfast. I really appreciated and enjoyed it, and he came back in a week to get us. Linda did not go on that trip because I think Pumpkin wasn't feeling well, and I don't think two special and spoiled dogs would have been a relaxing trip. Okay, Gordon's second thing. Gordon and I had a business arrangement. He would help me with my TV. He never got me converted to a computer. And I would cut his hair. Gordon was liking his haircut really short. I don't think Linda liked it as short. As it got shorter and shorter, I told him, I said, "Gordon, I cannot charge you for your haircut, but I have bad news. I'm going to have to charge you for finding it."
What do you mean by that? Did I see a hand over here somewhere? Okay, while you're sitting. Oh, okay. Don't start talking yet.
Okay. I like this guy a lot. He was, to me, he was guy's guy, man's man. If you think Gordon didn't swear, you're wrong. I called him one time. I said, Gordon, my computer's sick. And he says, okay, I charge $30 an hour. It's $30 an hour, it's cool. He's at my door, no time at all. He comes in, and I'm looking over here, he's got these big, thick thighs, he's got big, thick calves, and I'm going, you play some football? Yes, he did. So away he goes. He tells me about high school football. Tells me about the Marines. We're sitting in front of my computer. Tells me about meeting Linda. The whole story, right? I'm loving this because he reminds me of you a bit. I can say anything in front of you. Like if a little dam slips out, it's okay. Like we didn't talk about politics. We just went, right? In fact, I didn't say that much. I didn't get to say that much. So in no time at all, and now it passes. He stands up. I walk him to the door. I give him $30, and away he goes. About 20 minutes later, I go, oh wait a second, something's wrong. I make the phone call. I say, Gordon, you never fixed my computer. Got me $30. Then we lost some really special man. He loved my dog. He loved he never went by little mouse without calling him over. I have a new little puppy now. He still goes to Linda's house. He'll run away, but he stops at Linda's house and away. Linda and Gordon, and I loved him. I loved him. We lost a great man.
Nobody? Oh,
Darren.
you want your daughter to take a picture of you?
Sure.
This is his son, Darren.
Wow, full house. I just want to say how thankful I am for my family and my mom, Linda, my mom, Diane, and kids and all that came here today. Thank you so much for coming here and supporting my dad. It's totally like the Woodhaven Computer Club here. Seems like everybody here had some piece of information or technology forced on them by my father, and I'm really lucky to have that gene. Again, thank you all for coming today.
Again, I want to thank everyone for coming, many of you from long distance and everything. And Gordon loved everyone, and Woodhaven was a special place. He never wanted to leave. He loved it here. It felt so home and everything. Well, first of all, I kind of want to tell you how we first met. I didn't know if I can do this. Better not cry, huh? Anyway, it was back in 1981. I met Gordon when I moved from Glendora to Azusa, and he lived in the same complex where I lived. And he liked to hang out by the pool. He was a sun worshiper, just like I was. And he had just gone through a divorce, and then he asked me out. I had just gone through a divorce, and he asked me out if I would like to go on a boat ride. And I said, I didn't hardly know him that well, but he seemed really nice and everything. And I said, okay, we'll go. So we went, another friend by the name of Steve Cars, and there was Ron Castleberry who's out there, and Jim. No, you weren't on that one, but it was Ron Castleberry, me, and Steve Cars and his girlfriend Tony. So Steve Cars got this brand new, beautiful boat. It was gorgeous. So we get on the boat at Long Beach, going to Catalina Island. And so we were having a great time. I remember Ron was out there fishing and whistling and everything. And it was just a great day. We get to Catalina, we had lunch, and then we get back on the boat. And as we're going back, the next thing, the boat didn't work. It just stopped. And then I go, now what? It ran out of gas. And here we are in the middle of the ocean. And we couldn't even see the land anywhere around us. And I mean, all of a sudden, Ron, who was whistling and fishing, he goes, what do we do? What do we do? And then And it was back then when we didn't have cell phones. And then we say, so there was a ham radio, but none of us knew how to use it. It was still in the cellophane package. And so I remember Ron saying, let's get the manual. So he gets the manual out and they take the cellophane off of it, and he's reading the book, and finally Gordon figures it out with his technical background, and he picks it up and he calls for help. And they said, I think we ran out of gas and we're out in the middle of the ocean. We don't know where we're at. And meanwhile, I was sick. I had motion sickness. It was like no Dramamine. I didn't know what to do. I went down to the bottom of the boat, which was worse. And so then, and his girlfriend was back there. The two of us were sicker than the dog, you know. And everyone else we were all concerned. So then, as we kept drifting out, then the fog was rolling in. And it was really scary then. So then Gordon says, wait a minute, there's a buoy there. So Gordon jumps off the boat, takes the rope, ties it to the buoy, and saved us from drifting out to sea, you know. So at this time, we said, well, we're safe now, but I wonder when they're gonna get here, you know, because, you know, we could get lost. And all of a sudden, I hear this loud foghorn. It was so loud, we had to cover our ears. And I looked up, and there was this huge ship, and we were like a little pea at the bottom of the ocean. And I'm going, oh, you know, and he says, what are you doing on our buoy? The captain says. And he says, we ran out of gas. And then I heard them say, the dumb shits ran out of gas. They let us be there, but they weren't happy. But it was like 3 hours later, finally the guy comes in a little boat with our gas, and he leaves the gas and they take off, but wait a minute, we don't have nothing to put the gas into the boat, you know. So Gordon jumps off the boat again, and he siphons the gas into the boat. So at that point, he was my hero. It's like, God, he had a head on his shoulder. He was the only one who was calm. The rest of us were barfing and nervous and didn't know what to do. But he was so calm. He just never showed, being afraid, you know. So that evening, when we finally got back to Long Beach, it was dark by then, and we walked in the sand, and that was the part that I knew that he was going to be my soulmate. I'm sorry. He meant the world to me. Hang on a minute. Not many people are able to find a soulmate, but I have, and I'm thankful for that. So, again, I want to thank also his high school. I want to thank Jim Cabin. He was a big part of our lives. And Leo Finnegan, the golfing, he loved that so much. It meant a lot to us. We had some great times. Those were one of the best times of our lives, being out there in nature and everything. Oh, that's okay. So, anyway, Ron Castleberry and Jim McJunkin, they were very close friends from way back, how long ago was that, 40
Before
years?
God.
Before God, yeah. Willie Parker, when Gordon had the pancreatic cancer, as you all know, all of these guys, every month they would come up, we'd go out to lunch. They were always right there with Gordon, and that made him feel so good to know that his friends remembering him. And Dennis and Bridget, they were wonderful friends, and we always went out to dinner, and he loved them dearly. Beverly Thrall and Betty Cook, you guys are great. You know, they were both high school, they were twins, and at Colton High, and Gordon as a football player, they were all in this clique. And they go way back from when he was 5 years old. They were from the same neighborhood, so that's how long they knew him. And Nikki Lambeth, who's not here, and of course, Carol and Harry, they were also with Colton High, and Harry was one of the football players. He's in one of the pictures there. What number were you, number 20? 38. 38. And Gordon, I think, was, what was Gordon, 25?
23.
Oh, it doesn't matter. So anyway, he's got some long-time friends, and I just want to thank them for being a part of his life and my life, because you made the difference. And I want to thank each and every one of you that are here today. And if I forget people's names, I'm sorry. But Darren, Roger, the whole family, everybody from San Clemente, and Zandy, his daughter. Zandy, let me tell you a little bit about Zandy. Gordon was married, his first wife, right, Diane, and that's Darren's mom. And then there's Zandy, that was your mom. He raised her just like his own daughter. You were like 2 years old when you? 3 years old. And he raised her like his own daughter, and they, ever since, you know, he always wanted a little girl, so that was his little girl. So anyway, again, thank you for everything. And I made this little video, it's only about 5 minutes, and it's a picture of his, throughout his life and everything. Sorry, I'm a little nervous too. But anyway, thank you again for coming.